Dark matter. Microbiologists recognize that most microorganisms cannot be grown using standard laboratory methods. This phenomenon is known as the Great Plate Count Anomaly. Millions of cells are visible in a sample under a microscope, but only a few grow in nutrient media. Ocean metagenomic studies conducted by Craig Venter's group discovered millions of unknown genetic sequences in seawater. The Earth Microbiome Project showed that the number of described microbes represents only a small fraction of the existing diversity. Giant viruses of the genus Pandora virus contain genomes over 2 million base pairs in size and thousands of genes, many of which have no known analogs. In 2024, researchers from Stanford University described circular RNA structures called obelisks found in the human microbiome. Their functions have not yet been determined. Modern biology uses the concept of a holobiont, an organism together with its microbiota. The human gut is home to trillions of microorganisms that influence the synthesis of serotonin and other neurotransmitters via the gut-brain axis. Quantum chaos. Physicists still lack a complete description of the proton's internal structure. Experiments show that the proton consists not only of 3 valence quarks, but also of a dynamic sea of gluons and quark-antiquark pairs. Frank Wilczek pointed out that most of the proton's mass arises from the energy of the strong interaction. The problem of the proton's radius arose after experiments with muonic hydrogen, which yielded a smaller result than previous measurements. The molecular motor ATP synthase rotates at a very high speed and synthesizes ATP using a proton gradient. Water inside carbon nanotubes behaves differently than ordinary water. The phase transition temperature and hydrogen bond structure change. Electron tunneling through biological barriers is observed in the respiratory chains of mitochondria. When surfaces approach each other at the nanoscale, radiative heat exchange, this is near-field heat transfer, increases sharply. Viruses are capable of self-assembly. The protein subunits of the capsid independently form complex structures without external control. Studying gravity at distances smaller than tens of micrometers is complicated by extremely small forces and background noise. There is no evidence yet for the existence of extra dimensions of space. Boundaries of the microworld. The ENCODE project has shown that a significant portion of the human genome is transcribed into RNA. However, the functions of many DNA regions remain unclear. Alternative splicing allows a single gene to create multiple protein variants. In the cell nucleus, DNA is packaged into a complex 3-dimensional structure that influences gene activity. Physicists continue to study the interactions between nucleons in unstable and super-heavy nuclei. Some light nuclei exhibit neutron halos, where neutrons are distributed far beyond the core region of the nucleus. Femtochemistry, developed by Ahmed Zuhail, has made it possible to observe chemical reactions on the order of femtoseconds. In graphene, electrons behave as quasi-particles, described by the Dirac equation. Lipid rafts in cell membranes remain difficult to observe due to their small size and short lifetime. The origin of life remains unresolved. Experiments to create self-replicating molecules have not yet resulted in the emergence of a fully autonomous system. Subcellular space. The fluctuation theorem and Zarzinski equality describe the behavior of non-equilibrium systems on small scales. Intrinsically disordered proteins can perform functions without a stable 3-dimensional structure. Within cells, a molecular crowding effect is observed. High concentrations of macromolecules affect the rate of diffusion and biochemical reactions. Attosecond laser pulses have made it possible to observe the movement of electrons within atoms and molecules. One of the main challenges of quantum computers remains decoherence, the destruction of the quantum state when it interacts with the environment. Topological insulators have a conductive surface and an insulating volume. Ion channels in cell membranes conduct millions of ions per second while maintaining high selectivity. Potassium channels conduct potassium ions more efficiently than sodium ions despite the smaller size of sodium. Significant local mechanical stresses and pressure gradients are measured in living cells. The creation of fully biocompatible artificial organs at the molecular level remains an unsolved problem. Vacuum chaos. Quark confinement remains one of the central problems of quantum chromodynamics. Calculations of the vacuum energy in quantum field theory diverge enormously from the observed cosmological constant. This is known as the vacuum energy problem. The dynamical Casimir effect has been experimentally confirmed. Rapid changes in electromagnetic conditions can lead to the emergence of photons from vacuum fluctuations. Terahertz range oscillations are observed in biomolecules, but their role in cellular function remains a subject of research. Data on local thermal inhomogeneities within mitochondria are discussed, but interpretations of the results differ. A theory of quantum odor recognition was proposed by Luca Turin and tested in experiments with deuterated molecules, but there is no scientific consensus on this model. In tokamak-type fusion reactors, magnetic instabilities and plasma turbulence arise, complicating the containment of hot plasma. High-temperature superconductivity has been observed in some hydrides under extreme pressure in diamond anvils.